Hey guys, so we are starting a new lecture today on your first off day of this week that we will be covering two of your off days. Today I'm going to spend half of this lecture and you'll have a quiz on it in class, and then your next off day you will take we'll cover the second half of this lecture and you'll be quizzed over that. So this is over energy sources. So you may have sit in a science class and talked about energy sources or renewable and non-renewable. What we're focusing on this section of lecture, this overall talking about types of energy lecture for the next split up the next 2 days, is how it's used. Okay, how do we use that? How does it work? How is electricity generated? Some pros and cons, where it's used, that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Have you ever wondered basically where is that electricity coming from? We know, we're smart enough to know it comes from a power plant, but how is those power plants actually making electricity? So that's what we're kind of focusing on today. So sources, our power is generated for us complements of our natural resources. They're either renewable or non-renewable. People think when we think about using natural resources, we're thinking that it's just oil and coal, it's coming in nature, everything else is made differently. Everything we make energy and electricity out of right now is coming from nature in some form or fashion. So all of these come from the environment, all of them. So renewable resources, so going down this list, solar, tidal, geothermal, solid waste, water, and possibly fast-growing woods. All of these we can regrow or remake, and we could use forever. We'll cover those later, just kind of an overview. Then you have non-renewable ones. Once you use it, it's gone in several lifetimes. They will not be recreated. So this includes our fossil fuels. You can say, well, fossils do come from nature and they are renewable, but like it takes millions of years for fossil fuels to develop. So once we use up that resource, it's gone. It's what we call finite. Coal, oil, natural gas. Non-sustainable wood, some people will cut down trees. These are trees that take hundreds of years to grow. That's really not sustainable. That's what we call fast-growing woods. Renewable and non-sustainable woods not renewable, because if it takes 100 years to grow a tree, that's obviously not something that is probably feasible. And then you've got nuclear. So how are these resources converted by usable means? Some type of mechanical generator. So most of you may have seen, like, on cartoons or on TV, where someone will be riding a bike and like they're able to like run a light bulb or something, electricity. Or if you've ever had one of those flashlights where you wind it up and it charges it up and the light flashes, that's mechanical energy. So basically you're causing some sort of friction or something to cause energy and cause electricity. That's how all power works. It's going to probably some mechanical generator that we're trying to turn, okay? So first one I want to talk about is water power, also called hydroelectric. So the way this works is, once again, hydroelectric, it accounts for about 11% of all the energy we use in the United States. One of the biggest cities in America uses solely hydroelectric energy. So the Hoover Dam provides all the electricity for Las Vegas. So Las Vegas, actually their electricity provides no pollution. Hydroelectric does no pollution, all right? So it runs through basically a turbine, and the water rushes through it, as you can see in the picture, and just turns a turbine. And as it's turning, it's creating electricity. It's using magnets, kind of like if you were in small power, we talk about magnetos and how those turn with magnetism and generate electricity. Think of these as huge magnetos that just turn. And it's with magnets. All right. So if you have a big enough dam, it can power quite a bit. We've got several dams in Kentucky that power smaller towns. In Russell County, there's a dam called Wolf Creek Dam, and it powers that entire county, and they don't have to worry about getting power from coal. So about 11% of our power does come from water. If you get your electricity from the Tennessee Valley Authority, all of that's hydroelectric electricity and not coal. About half of Warren County actually runs on water power. Steam power, okay? There are several sources of steam power. So what steam power is you're gonna boil water and it's gonna create steam, and that steam is gonna turn a generator somehow, all right? And here are the examples of steam power. All fossil fuels, we burn them, it generates heat. We boil water and turn a turbine, all right? Nuclear energy, it's just heating up atomic atoms and boiling water. It literally boils down to boiling water. You've got geothermal, which is the heat inside the earth that's going to boil water. A solid waste, we burn stuff, we burn it to boil water. Wood, same thing. Anything that we are burning, it's boiling water, creating steam, and generating electricity. So those old steam engines that you would hear about in trains and stuff, they literally just boil water. They would take coal and they burn them, and it boil water and turn a turbine that would generate power to that train. So all of these is boiling water. Now, what you see coming out of the smokestacks is actually steam. It's not actually the exhaust going into the environment. That comes out of different pipes. There's scrubbers for that, but it is causing a lot of pollution. So let's talk about the things involved in steam power. Now, real quickly, I guess I need to tell you what you need to know for the quiz so far. You need to know about hydroelectric electricity. You need to know it's turning a turbine. You need to understand that the main generator of electricity is actually steam power, and all of these are just a method to boil the water. All right, so let's talk about our fossil fuels. We're going to go do coal, oil, and natural gas, and we're going to call it a day for this lecture. So we're going to start with coal. So once again, coal, you're going to burn. It's going to boil water, create steam, and generate electricity. So this accounts about 51% of all steam power generate electricity. This is by far the #1 fuel used in electricity. So you want to know that coal is the main use of electricity, or not use of electricity, but cause of electricity in the United States, which is kind of a scary thought when you run out of coal. 51% of all the electricity we generate is gone. All right. It is decreases in quality, and what that means is when we start using low quality coal, what's going to happen is that it's going to burn quicker and we're going to use it up quicker. A high quality coal will burn really slow. Well, we're starting to go through all of that high quality stuff and getting low quality, so we're using more coal. Plus, more people are using electricity, so that poses a problem. Since it's a low quality coal, it also creates more pollution. Now, whatever you think about global warming, I think we understand pollution is pollution. So coal is one of the higher pollutants in the world when it comes to electricity generation. Moving on to oil, accounts for about 2% of all electricity generated. We really don't use oil that much to generate electricity because we use it for gas. So that's where we're using most of our oil from. We'd actually used over coal because it burns really clean. So think about that. You think about all the pollution gasoline causes, but we wanted to use it for electricity because it burned better than coal. So I want you to kind of think about that in terms of how much pollution we do generate. It is a lesser in supply. We have more coal, oil than coal. Okay, we have a lot more of it. Well, the problem with that is it is a little bit harder to process, and since we use it so much for gasoline, we just don't use it as much. So what you need to know about coal is that it is the #1 generator of electricity. You need to know oil is actually a cleaner burning one, but we use it more for gasoline, and that's why we don't use it as much. These are both steam power. Then we're going to move on to natural gas. Now, natural gas we're going to spend a little bit more time on for a couple of reasons. First of all, it accounts for about 15% of all electricity generated, but that is actually going up actually quite quickly. It is becoming a fuel of choice. Since we have not harvested as much natural gas, more and more people are using that as their fossil fuels. So here's why natural gas is preferred. First of all, if we use natural gas, we're using the same technology we use to burn coal, so it's not as bad. Okay, it's not like solar power or geothermal or any of those other types of new energies where we'd have to build facilities. We can use existing facilities. It's cheap, and low capital cost means it's cheap to harvest it. Don't have to worry about short license procedures. You don't have to build really big plants. Like I said, all of this is basically saying it's cheap to burn natural gas. It's very efficient, and it's very cheap again. It burns really clean. It produces a lot less pollutants. Okay, so when we talk about natural gas, you really need to know that it is cheaper and it provides less pollution. As long as you know that, why is natural gas preferred? Either it's cheaper or it's less pollution. Those would be the ones you would need to know for the quiz. If you have natural gas in your house, I do. I prefer to do natural gas to heat my home because it's a lot cheaper than using existing electricity that runs on coal. And this is the last one. All right, we're going to go over nuclear fission really quickly. Basically, it is non-renewable. And basically, they take uranium, they split the atoms, it generates heat, and you boil water. So in this picture, you see all this coming off? That isn't pollution. Like nuclear fission does not produce air pollution. Okay, that's just steam coming off of it. That's all that heat they're generating to turn those turbines. When it comes to the pollution, it's the waste afterwards. When that uranium is used, it's become nuclear waste. So that stuff can kill you. So what they have to do is they have to store it. And there's different ways they can store it. One way they can store it is they can put them in these very thick containers and then put them at the bottom of a lake. And they put them at the bottom of the lake because it stays cool so it won't overheat. You'll find most nuclear power plants will have large man-made lakes behind them that people use for recreation, when actually that is where they dump the nuclear waste in these large, thick containers that are supposed to not corrode for 500 years. All right, so that's where we're going to stop today. So on your quiz, you need to know nuclear fission is splitting atoms. It's going to generate heat. It's steam power. You need to know about natural gas, those two things I told you. You need to know that oil is not preferred because we use it more for gasoline, but it does burn cleaner than coal. You need to know coal is the #1 producer of electricity in our country. We also need to know it's the highest pollutant, and it's the one that is decreasing in quality. And then steam power. Basically, the #1 generator of electricity is steam. Not coal, not that stuff, but steam power. Okay, coal is the #1 creator of electricity, but all of the electricity is created by steam. All right, so as long as you know that, and I'll have those options there where it won't have coal and steam in the same answer, so it won't be confused. So I will see you the next day you are in class, and we will take this quiz. So have a good day.